This is Join Us in France, episode 278. Bonjour, I'm Annie Sargent, and on this short episode of the podcast, I talk with two people who are sheltering in place in France, and we discuss what it's like. And with me right now is Patricia in Paris. Hello, Patricia.
Hi, Annie. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's sunny again, so that's always nice. So I just want to hear what it's like for you. I know your place. I've been at your apartment many times, and so I can imagine what it's like, and it's very nice, I assume, but still, it's a big city.
Yeah, it's I'm very, very fortunate to have a lot of light and a lot of windows, and right now I'm just sitting looking out, my balcony, and it's nice and green for a little space in Paris. So those are the things you have to appreciate when you live in a big city. When you get a little bit of sunlight and greenery, and it's exceptionally quiet. You can hear the birds singing a lot more. There's no traffic anywhere. I can walk down the middle of the street when I go out to take my daily regulated run.
Yeah.
You have to stay, a couple of meters away from people, which isn't hard because there's not many people out. But
right.
I can literally run down the middle of the street and don't have to wait for any traffic signs because there's no traffic.
Yeah,
you can cross whenever.
Yeah, it's like life has ground to a halt. And, of course, where you are is normally quite busy. I mean...
Yes,
there are a lot of people. It's very... So do you see much of your neighbors or anything like that?
No, not really, because people just don't go out much. So when you're reduced to going out maybe one time a day, if you don't catch somebody in the hallway, and I usually go down the stairs anyway, so I kind of miss... I was gone for over 2 months, and now I'm back, and it's really kind of strange. You just haven't bumped into people at all.
Yeah,
it's very, very strange.
Right. So for people who don't know about this, we have regulate. I mean, we can. So people call it lockdown, but it's not. It's lockdown, really.
It's shelter in place and physical isolation or physical distancing.
Right. So we can still go out, but you can't. There's only a few reasons for which you can go out. And one of them is to get some exercise or to walk your dogs or, or to do your shopping or to go to the pharmacy or go to a medical appointment or stuff. And there's also a lot of people who are still working. And so they're out and about. Like today on my walk, I saw two guys who were working on a new house. They were installing a roof. And I was like, you'd think that could wait. But,
But maybe not with winter. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. And then you have to complete an attestation de déplacement dérogatoire.
Yes. You have to give yourself permission to go out.
Yes. And since a friend of mine borrowed my printer and is now far away from me, I have to handwrite it every time I want one of these because you have to put the date and the time and what you're doing that you're going out for. And then I was thinking, what's this derogatoire? And then because derogatory in English means kind of disparaging,
right? No,
but in French it's like an exemption,
right?
So
it means
one of those faux amis,
right? You're explaining what nobody should be out, but you have a good reason, and what is it? So you have to pick one of 5, and then you have to date it and put the time because we can only be out for an hour.
You have to have your official ID with you.
Yeah.
So if you don't have those things, you can get a big fat fine. So
right.
I haven't seen any cops on the street, so I don't.
Oh.
I'm not sure. That is another interesting point. I mean, I see them on a car occasionally when I'm out, but I've never seen any cop on the street walking around ever.
Okay, so nobody has stopped you so far.
No.
Okay, well that's good.
No, but I'm ready,
Yes. I have mine printed out, but I put the date and time in pencil and I just erase it every day and change it.
I was doing that, but then I was reading oh no, you have to have it, in ink,
Oh, come on. They'd have to be big jerks.
French administrative fashion.
No, they'd have to be big jerks because it's a long form. It'd take you half an hour to write that down.
I make it shorter,
Okay. You skip the bits that don't apply.
Right. All the, like, I don't have to put 5 reasons down. I just put down in one reason.
Yeah. I want to take a run.
Yes. You have to stay within a kilometer of your house.
Yes.
Also.
That's pretty hard.
That's kind of hard. So you just kind of, one thing I don't really quite, I guess I'm mixed, like you were telling me the path by you was closed. They've closed all the parks.
Yep.
All the running paths. The banks of the Seine are closed off.
Yep.
So you can only run on the streets.
Yep.
Which it would seem like they should open those places so you could run there at least.
Yeah, I think the reason is that the day they announced that we were to be quarantined, kind of self-quarantine kind of thing, it was a beautiful day. It was on the 15th of March, I think. And it was gorgeous. And everybody was out. And everything was packed. Like this path I go on was packed with people. And I was already worried about this virus. And so I just took to walking in the grass because I couldn't get away far enough because there were so many people. You couldn't be 2 meters away from anybody. It was like, it's so strange to be fearful when you see another human being walking by. I have never experienced that in my life. But now I round the corner and I'm like, oh, there's a person.
I know, and you don't even hardly say bonjour. It's really it is social isolation and physical isolation.
Yeah,
because people just sort of look away. They don't want you to cough at them. It's really just very, very strange.
Yeah, and heaven forbid if you sneeze, you'll clear the room if you sneeze.
Yeah.
So these are odd times, but.
The one time I do see my neighbors is at the 8 o'clock in the evening clapping session, which is kind of fun.
Oh, so tell us about
Paris,
that.
Yeah, everybody comes out or goes to your window or balcony and open it up. And at 8 o'clock, everybody starts clapping and yelling and whistling. And it's to show appreciation for especially the healthcare workers, and the people that are working in the essential services. So every night at 8, in a dense city like Paris, you hear quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people come out and you sort of see, you see who's around in your hood a little bit. That's the one time of the day I see people,
That's cool. That's cool.
So that is kind of nice.
Yeah.
To see everybody like that.
Yeah, we don't do that in my village. Not that we're not appreciative, but we're all separate.
Right.
It would be weird.
Keep it up for yourself.
I guess I could do one of these nights. Go out and start clapping over my fence and see if somebody joins me. It's so odd. This whole thing is so odd. So are you able to go out and do some grocery shopping and stuff like that at your nearby store? Are they running out of stuff? Or?
The stores have been, I think, pretty well stocked. And I tend to, the big store like the Monoprix or the Carrefour, they tend to be more crowded and people have to kind of queue up outside.
Yeah.
A meter apart. They have little marks on the sidewalk for you to line up on. And so I try and avoid those and just go to the smaller stores where it's not as crowded.
Yeah.
I generally don't have to wait to go in and just get a few things. Maybe at the end of my run, I'll go in and get some maybe like coffee or bread or butter.
Or something you need that day.
Well, it's interesting. We are in France because the things that stay open, the tobacco where people can buy their cigarettes, all the Nicolas, all the Starbucks of the wine world, the wine stores, Nicolas
is open. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, they're open. And let's see what else. And the boulangeries.
Right.
So if they were to close those 3 things, there would be riots
right.
in the street.
So our boulangerie has restricted hours. They close at 2 p.m. So they open at 8 a.m. and to 2 p.m. And I'm not sure. Did they close on Sundays? Usually they're open on Sundays. I can't remember. Maybe they were open. But anyway, they have restricted hours, but it's more to give them more time to rest because they work an awful lot. Yeah, and people go and buy 4 baguettes or whatever, which they really need 1, but they're worried that tomorrow they might not go to the store, and so they buy another, extra. I'm like, geez.
Well, I was going to say at the grocery stores and a lot of the stores, it's these big plastic shields up between you and the cashier now.
Yes.
So there's a little hole you kind of put your credit card. There's the credit card machine, or if you paying cash, a little hole where you put your stuff through.
Yeah.
And so they're behind these big plastic shields now.
Yeah.
So that's another change that's happened this past week, I've
Yeah.
noticed.
Yeah, that's not so nice. But otherwise, you've been able to get everything you've needed.
Yeah, you may not have your first choice, but I mean, it's not a great sacrifice. It's maybe your second or third choice. It wasn't exactly what you wanted, so find something else. It's not like nobody's going to die of hunger right now. Let's say that.
No. I saw in the news that just yesterday, or maybe it was Sunday, I'm not sure, that they stopped 300,000 people in the day, and that they ticketed 25,000 of them. So that's a lot of.
Where's that, across all of France?
No, that's Paris. It's just
Paris?
in Paris. Yeah. So probably your area doesn't have a lot of cops because they're not finding that they need to have a lot of cops. Most people behave,
Yeah, mine's pretty much. I mean, mine's a very residential sort of family.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Less young people that might want to really need to think they need to go out.
Right. But still, if they stop 300,000 people and only 25, right, that's a lot of stops in one day. So that means there are a lot of police on the streets in Paris. But if they only found 25,000 didn't have a good reason to be out, that means that most people are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. And I think that's generally true at this point. I mean, it might, like that first few days, perhaps, when they had the rules in place. I don't think people, either they just didn't want to believe them, or it was too nice to be out, and they weren't going to,
Well, it took a while for it to sink in.
The number of cases are unfortunately still increasing in France. So.
Definitely.
They haven't really beat that. Reduce the number of cases yet.
Yeah, and I heard that Italy is finally seeing a little bit of slowing. And of course in the US, unfortunately, it's increasing pretty fast now. Yeah. So
it's nowhere near done yet. So, and they said it's 2 more weeks in France at least, and it may well go to the end of April, which is, I didn't want to think about, but it's officially till April the 15th right now. So.
Right. But who knows?
Who knows?
So it's funny because I feel that like the riskiest thing I have to do is to go to the grocery store because that's where there are more people, And I don't do it very much because it really stresses me out, which is so bizarre because I used to like going to the grocery store. So yesterday I placed an order with Auchan Drive. You've heard of those Drive thing, right?
Yeah, there's one around the corner from me.
Right.
But so you're just trying it out for the first time?
Right. I had never tried it before. If I need something from Auchan, I just drive to Auchan and I go get it myself.
Yeah.
This time I thought, no, it's too dangerous, which is crazy. Just uttering the words, it's too dangerous to go to the grocery store, makes no sense. But it might be. It might be. So I placed my order and they didn't take my money. They just said, okay, we got your order. Now, don't call us. We'll let you know when we can fulfill it. And so I don't even have any idea when I'll get the stuff.
See, now that's a problem I'm hearing from at least people in the U.S. Like, they've got a lot of delivery services, but they get a delivery slot or a pickup.
Right.
It's a week out at least.
Right. So what they told me is come back and check the site, and eventually we'll assign you a slot when you can come and pick it up. And I'm assuming that by then they'll take my money. But it's very odd. I mean, my sister-in-law uses this service all the time, and she says she used to be able to, place an order in the morning and pick it up at the end of the day. That's over. Like you can't do that anymore. But
and all the restaurants here seem to be closed too. I see people with takeout pizza, but that's about it. There's not much for takeout.
Right. We tried to
everything's closed here.
Right. We tried to order takeout pizza, but we called at 7 p.m. and we couldn't have it till 9:30 p.m. So I was like, I'll make something. I can make one faster than that. So we gave up on it.
There's not much open in terms of restaurants in Paris. Anywhere near me, they're all closed up, and they're not even open for takeout. Even all the the fast food places like McDonald's is closed.
Yeah,
all closed.
Yeah, everything closed.
No takeout.
No. I think in America there's still a lot of takeout happening and a lot more. I mean, since not every state has has decided to do the same thing. Obviously, it's hard to talk about what's happening in the U.S., but eventually, I think they're going to have to all just stop everything like we have had to here. Because when once they start telling you, a few days ago, I started reading, there were 250 deaths today in France from this, and now it's up to 400 per day.
That's doubling, Doubling is a dangerous thing.
Yes, and it didn't take that long to double. So you're just like, oh, yeah. So that's why now I'm scared to go to the grocery store. Which is insane. Anyway, it won't last. I hope it won't last. So what do you do to entertain yourself? Have you been reading more? Or?
Yeah, well...
Do you have any tips? What should we do?
My trip to the Antarctic got canceled. I've been listening to Terra Incognito by Sarah Wheeler. That's about her kind of travelogue to Antarctica. She was like an artist in residence and wrote this book about that. So how
did that work out? You were supposed to go, and they just said no. We're not.
They canceled it.
Yeah.
The ship I was supposed to get on, I haven't checked, but there's an app where you can look online and see, what ships are still waiting out in the channel to come in. And as of the other day, the passengers on the previous trip, they hadn't docked. It had been a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So they're in quarantine out in the middle of the Beagle Channel, off Ushuaia.
Wow.
So in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't get on the ship,
Yeah. Cruises are not ideal right now, I don't think.
No. And so I've been reading about Antarctica and watching documentaries on penguins, which are very cute and very strange.
Yeah. They are very strange.
And bird watching here in my local garden, although there's not much beyond merles that are starting to, the blackbirds, they're starting to define their territories and sing, the males are for trying to attract the females for the breeding season.
Yeah.
How's your bird watching going down there?
It's great, but I've had to slow down how much seed I put out.
They'll eat it all.
Right. I was like, I'm going to run out like in 2 weeks. I'll be gone. So I just put less and less. But I still get a lot of interesting birds. The les merles, the blackbirds.
Yeah.
I see them like they're pecking around my vegetable garden. I haven't planted very much yet, but there's got to be stuff in there that's interesting to them. And lots of the verdier. I don't know how to say all these names.
Yeah,
it's a kind of a green bird. Then we have the chardonneret élégant, which is a beautiful bird with red
really
on the side. Yeah, and I take pictures of them,
Yeah.
So that's what I spend a good half an hour every day.
Is good, That's a good activity, and then I talk to my friends, getting good on a whole variety of different apps. The ones I hadn't used before, like Zoom, and then WhatsApp and Skype and Google Hangouts, and everybody's on something different. It seems like so.
So if you want to talk to this person, you got to install a new app.
Right. And then I installed one that's supposed to put you in touch with your neighbors called Nextdoor, which has a French version. And so I'm trying to meet some people, and talk to people through that.
Yeah.
And then somebody put something up on the door to my apartment. They're forming a WhatsApp group for the, building. So
that's nice.
I just connected with that. So, I kind of in Paris, people are not that friendly in buildings. I think they just kind of want their private space. So it's not like in America where you often know your neighbors and, pretty well. I think you only know your neighbors here if they're too noisy and they, complain about them. But
Well, I grew up in a building and we knew everybody, but of course it's because we knew the kids. We played with the kids, and so that was different. I think if you move in as an adult, it's probably quite different.
Yeah. So, I know some people, I've only been here a year, but it's not people don't have like block parties or floor parties. They just don't do that, in the city. So.
But when I was at your apartment, I met one of your neighbors who was asking when you were coming back because she wanted to have you over.
Oh, okay. Well, I do know some people on my floor.
Right. So she was on your floor at the end of the hall to the left.
That was probably Paul.
I don't. Yeah.
But yeah, I know the neighbors are on my floor, but there's multiple floors, and so I see a lot of when people are out and moving. There are a lot of people I can see that I don't know.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. No, but they're lovely place. So I'm glad for you that you're in a nice environment, because in the city like that, it could get pretty harrowing, I think.
I mean, a lot of people, live in these like little tiny 15-meter studios. I just can't imagine having to be stuck in one of those.
Well, and we know a student who decided to stay in his dorm room. Like,
wow. How's your daughter? What's your daughter? She's okay?
She's great. She's with us. She just decided, actually 2 days before they asked us to stay home, she was like, well, Mom, I'm coming home because it's shutting down. The university shut down. So she was like, I'll just come home and hang out with you guys. So it's been fun to have it back at home.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She can work on her studies at home?
Yes, she's doing some, but the university was not very well prepared for anything like that. They're
not alone.
No. So some of the courses it's working out, and some of them it's really not. And she was supposed to do an internship starting, I think, middle of April. And so the exams were supposed to happen now, and then the internships, and she doesn't know anything about either one.
Well, I've heard rumors that they were going to cancel the BAC this year
I think they should.
Which is that's revolutionary. I've never heard of them canceling.
I think they should, because it's so much hangs on that.
Yeah,
so
that important.
Yeah, the kids who were supposed to take it this year just take it next year or something. I don't know.
It'll be a mess for them.
It'll be a mess. Whatever the consequences are going to be, it's going to be messy. I don't know what they're going to do, really. But and I think it's going to change the way people travel, too. Yeah. I think people will be a lot more cautious. I'm hoping that they'll do more like what you did. You went away to explore South America, and you were supposed to stay for 2 months or more, weren't you?
Yeah, I was gone for 2 months. Right. I was going to be gone for 2.5 months.
Right. So it's slow travel, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping more people. Most people can't do 2 months, but maybe they'll stay longer and get to know the place better rather than just.
Yeah, stay 1 week in one place, rather than hopping around to, 3 different places in 2 days at each place.
Yeah. And coming back, was it really hard for you to find the flights and all that?
That was my worst travel nightmare ever.
Yeah.
Just because I was in Ushuaia, the bottom of the world, where there's not many flights and there's not many choices, and Argentina had closed its borders, and so I had an Air France flight out of Buenos Aires, but Air France was not coming into Argentina anymore, and so I eventually I made several flight reservations, and one leg would always get canceled the next day or the next morning. Ugh. And so I finally finagled flights from Ushuaia to Buenos Aires to Sao Paulo to Madrid to Paris. So
oh, wow.
It was, and every segment was like, okay, if one was canceled, then I'd have to scramble at the airport to find something else. Wow. So, and the airport, the websites didn't work because they were in meltdown mode. The call centers didn't work because they were overloaded. And the agents, you just had to be persistent like a little terrier. Like, I'm not going away. I'm going to be very polite, but I'm not going away until you work with me on finding something. I will take whatever you give me, but I'm
standing
not going away.
Here. I'm in your face. No, you're right. That's what you need to do. That's what.
Well, there wasn't any other choice, Yeah. First, the internet worked, phone didn't work, so your only hope was this person in front of you.
The agent, right there. Yeah. So. I heard that Orly was closing tomorrow. So
I heard it closed.
It closed already? Huh.
But that surprises me because they get a lot of cargo flight and that kind of stuff in Orly.
I think they're going to divert them to Charles de Gaulle.
Maybe they close the passenger part, but maybe they're still doing something.
Oh, sure. Yeah, what I read is that they were still doing medical flights and goods and stuff, but mostly for medical reasons. And it's kind of, they've had to make decisions that are a little bit difficult to make. Like,
oh yeah, I flew into Orly, and when I got in there, like, there were no taxis, there were no buses, there was nothing.
Wow.
So I went and found a taxi that was letting somebody off, and I jumped in.
Wow.
Like, okay, you're going to take me home.
Yeah.
This is the last leg of a 2-day journey.
Oh. You're so brave. That's really good. I was worried about you. Honestly, I was worried about you. I was like, you kept telling me where you were. I was like, oh, I would have been a basket case.
Well, I had to use all my travel skills and all my patience.
Yeah, yeah.
And really, fortunately, I'm not the kind that gets rattled easily. That's just my nature. So
right. And you managed to do all that without getting sick.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Just lucky. That's all I can say.
Well, yeah, it's a virus, so you never know. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. This is it's been lovely, and it's good to know that things in Paris are dead, but not quite. Yeah. I mean, not like
it's not a happy Paris.
No,
you know? People are nice enough, but it's missing a lot. So
yeah,
I can't wait for it to come back.
It will be back very soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, good to talk to you, Annie. You have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, and you too.
Okay.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bonjour, Michael, and welcome to Join Us in France.
Bonjour, Annie. Merci bien.
So nice to talk to you. Now, I want to talk to you. We're going to record an episode about finding good restaurants in France. But before we do that, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it's like living in France under these confined conditions. We're recording on March 28th, 2020. So we're in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic, and you live in France. So what is it like for you?
Yeah, I'm in France 6 months out of the year, and but I have to divide that up between two periods for a 3-month period because of the Schengen rules. So I've been here now since February, and it was really, really a shock. March 13th or 14th, I think, when President Macron instituted the confinement rules.
Yeah.
And so I now need to have, and you of course do too, this attestation to take with us when we go out, and it includes our name and address, where we were born.
Where you were born? Mine doesn't have that.
Oh well, the new one requires it. Yeah.
Oh.
This is, a couple days ago.
Okay, yeah, I know there was a new one, but since I've never been stopped since this started, so I had printed out a bunch of the older ones, and so I'll use them.
I've been stopped a number of times.
Huh.
The last time was by two police officers on motorcycles.
Wow.
And I was by the port, and
you live in Antibes, right?
I'm in Antibes.
Yeah.
And I was by the port, and there's a wall there, and you can look way, way, way down both directions, and there's nobody. And I had stopped and taken a picture. Mm-hmm. And they came up behind me and read the Riot Act and told me about the fines and that taking photographs is not on the approved list of activities when you're out for a walk. Yeah. And then they sent me home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But of all my friends, I have been stopped the most, maybe 5-6 times. And I feel like I've got a sign on me that says, please choose me.
How often do you go out?
I'm out every day at least twice. Well, it's twice. I go out in the morning around 10:30, and then I go out in the late afternoon for about an hour. We're allowed an hour at least for walking.
Right.
And then you still need to put the time that you leave your apartment or your home to go do your shopping, although I haven't heard that there's an hour restriction there.
No. Yeah, there's no time restriction on when you go shopping. It's just that you should restrict your outing to 1 hour. I think they're doing that so people don't go too far away from home.
Yes, there is now a kilometer distance.
Right.
The police here were telling me 500 meters at the start.
No.
And I think they were, I think they were making that up. And I got stopped once, And the policeman said, "You have 5 minutes." 5 minutes.
Wow.
I wasn't out for just 5 minutes. I extended it, of course,
but if you go out twice a day, what do you do? So you go out for a walk. And
yes, I have some friends here, and in the morning I usually go out with one or two of them, and we keep a meter to 2 meters distance when we're walking.
Oh, that's why.
Then the second walk is in the late afternoon, and generally people have disappeared. It's
right.
Maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock.
So do you get stopped more when you're with your friends, even at a distance?
No.
No. Okay.
No. I was alone maybe half the time that I was stopped.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm close to a police station too, so
maybe that's it. Yeah. See, it's a very different situation for me because I live in a little village of not quite 3,000 people, and so we have a couple of village cops, city cops, I guess you'd call them, and they drive around. But when they drive past me, they just wave at me.
Oh,
they haven't stopped. Well, that's because I've been walking around the village for over a decade now, and it's always been the same cops. They know me. They know everybody in the village, and they've noticed that I'm now restricting my outings with the dogs to really close to my house. They know where I live too, so they're not going to...
Yeah, I understand some people are wanting to rent dogs or borrow their neighbors' dogs.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, so when I walk my dogs, I normally do a long walk, an hour and a half or so, and we go places where I can let them loose. Of course, I can't do that anymore. So they stay on leash because I'm afraid they're going to pick up something nasty. Like yesterday we walked past discarded tissue on the ground, and of course some dogs will go pick up everything they see on the ground, right? Wrappers, tissues, whatever. I train my dogs not to do that, but it's better to keep them on leash so that you can pull them back if they're going to go after something you don't want them to sniff or or on benches. People sit on benches, which you're not supposed to do anymore.
No.
But, they put their hands all over the bench, and then the dog will go sniff, and then the virus is going to be on the dog's nose. Now, obviously, the dog can't get sick from it, but you could touch it.
They can nuzzle you.
Right. So, so that's why I'm restricting my walks to very close to my house, and also dogs on leash. But
I used to use the shopping as a reason to go out, and I've now cut that back, and I've tried to shop for 2, 3, 4 days, for 3, 4 days, so I don't go to the shopping areas because that's where I encounter these people.
Right, shopping makes me nervous.
Yes, they're doing pretty well. I think the shoppers, they're not jostling. There's tape on the floors to designate the meter to 2 meters, and some patisseries are permitting only one person into their store. Yeah. And so I've decided that it's safe for me to not to go to the store just to buy some oranges and just simply wait until I do major shopping. Yeah. So that's a big change. Yeah,
and I do the same. I tried to go even less than that. I went a few days ago, and I'm hoping not to have to go back to do grocery shopping for 10 days. So I tried to shop for 2 weeks, which means that my shopping cart is huge. It's like overflowing. And I think that the police are actually looking for people who are going to the store just to get, a couple of things, because every time you go, you expose yourself. So they want people to, you expose yourself and possibly others, because we don't know. I mean, I'm feeling good. You sound like you're feeling good, but we don't know. Fine. Yeah, but we might have it and not know.
One of the things that it's kind of fun under the circumstances is I remember many years ago, as a tourist, I would go into the French supermarkets and just simply walk up and down the aisles and look at what the French would eat that was packaged or canned. Yeah. And I would see cassoulet and beef bourguignon and all sorts of duck confit. and I never bought it, because I'd go to restaurants. But now I'm buying some of those products. I've gone to Picard for the first time.
Yeah.
And,
are they any good?
Well, I haven't found a favorite yet.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. The ones that are not refrigerated, the shelf safe ones, are not very good at all. The ones that are refrigerated are a little bit better, but not a lot better. Picard should be pretty good.
Yeah, I still haven't found a favorite, but now I'm starting to, after a couple weeks of eating that kind of food, I'm starting to frequent the vegetable and fruit markets more, and the fish and the meat market. So
yeah. So it has changed. I mean, this home confinement, has changed a lot for some people. Not so much for others. For me, it hasn't. I mean, it has put some restrictions on what I can do, but in my opinion, it's well worth it because I really don't want to get sick, and I don't want to give it to anybody else either. No. So for me, yes, I find myself thinking about this too much during the day, so it's hard to concentrate on the work I'm supposed to be doing. But I think most people are like that. You check the news a bit too much, and are you finding that, or you don't do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm seeing. I was talking to a friend this morning, and we were talking about this. And I am now trying not to look at the news as much.
Right.
And I've been trying to come up with a routine. I'm trying to come up with it's kind of like a goal for the next day, so that that my life kind of seems normal. My life is sort of normal, other than this cloud hanging over me, and not being able to go out and to villages, or being a tourist, or going to restaurants, for example.
Right.
Those have all stopped. But the other things that I typically do, listening to music and watching movies and so forth, I continue to do. So nothing has changed there.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but hopefully it'll pass soon. And if I can't give medical advice, but it seems to me that staying home as much as you can possibly stay home is a good idea.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I've made it a rule that I pay close attention to what I touch when I leave the apartment, and when I come back, even though I haven't touched anything other than my coat pockets, I will wash my hands.
Yeah.
I do that regularly now.
Right. So it's funny how different people have different reactions. My brother is he's an all or nothing kind of guy, so he's taken to bleaching everything. And
I don't know if I can do that. I don't have bleach.
Oh, yeah, he does. But, it's so I talk to him, and that's another thing, is that we have long conversations now on the phone, which, I used to call my brother and my sister regularly, but we talk 5 minutes, and, but now we can talk for an hour. And I'm trying to tell him, look, there's this thing called viral load. So maybe there's some viruses on a surface, but that's not the concern. Wash your hands. You'll be good. Wash your hands. Anyway, so but I'm no doctor, so I can't, but some people are taking it very, very far. I know people who, the minute they get home, they get naked and go straight to the shower.
Really?
Yeah. And they won't wear those. They clean their shoes. They clean everything. I mean, wow. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think the virus lives that way. I don't think.
Well, if an infected person in a hospital has touched things, they probably have a heavy enough viral load that that what they've touched you could get sick from. But well,
that's probably why they wear those coverings. And
in a hospital, it makes sense, obviously, but we're not to that point in everyday life by far. But anyway,
no.
All right. So are you planning on going back to the U.S.? Well, I don't know if you'll be able to go back after 3 months this time.
Yeah, that's a big question. I have two major concerns. My flight is scheduled. My 3 months are up by April 30th, and periodically I check Delta. That's my carrier. And you can look on the website and you can see how many seats are in your flight. And there's still quite a few seats. The first class is still filled. So I don't know about the flight. And then, of course, I worry about the Schengen regulations and going beyond the 90-day period. And I'm trusting that under the circumstances, I will be fine there.
Yeah, I think so.
I booked my flight through a travel agent. And in the past, he's been really quite good in helping me rearrange my flight schedules. So right now, I'm not too terribly concerned, but it's going to become an issue in the next couple of weeks, I think. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm hearing from Americans who pretty much it's still life. They haven't changed their habits enough. Like they still go visit friends, and they go still like
that worries me because by the time April 30th arrives, I will be in confinement for 6 weeks.
Wow!
And I return to Portland. They seem to be a week to 2 weeks behind what is happening here. So I'm fearful of going back to Portland and then having to restart all over again the experiences.
I think that's going to be one of the problems about killing this virus off is that different places in the world are doing it at on their own schedule, their own time, and so maybe in France we cracked down 2 weeks ago. But in America, they haven't yet in some places.
Yes.
And so, but they will eventually.
They will have to.
Yeah, they will have to because that's the only thing you can do. But until we have a vaccine, that is. But in the meantime, if people go back and forth, it's going to move. The virus is going to move around with the people.
Yes.
So so I don't know what to tell you. It's and I definitely tell people don't book a trip to France yet. Like don't set a date yet because it might go away fairly soon. I mean, I'm hopeful, but it might come back. We don't know.
Yes, that is true. I would be surprised if someone could even find a flight into France now, or if the customs would allow anybody in, are they?
Well, there are people who need to still make their way home from wherever they were, right?
Yes.
So there are still some flights, but not very many, and people are asked to self-isolate. Like you were saying, you might have to start this all over again once you get back to Portland, so...
Yes.
No fun. Anyway.
No fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking to me about this.
Oh, you bet. It's a pleasure.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Au revoir. The Join Us in France Travel Podcast is written and produced by Annie Sargent and copyright 2020 by Addicted to France. It is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license.